30 fake foods you may be eating every week are showing up in supermarkets, restaurants, and kitchen cabinets all across the country. What's surprising is that most of them aren't sold as counterfeits. They're sold under names people have trusted for years. From crab that isn't really crab, to wasabi that isn't really wasabi, to products labeled as ice cream, cheese, or olive oil that have a very different story behind the packaging. Some of the foods on today's list have sparked investigations, DNA testing, and years of controversy throughout the food industry. In today's video, we're counting down the 30 most common fake foods that millions of people eat every week. A few of them may surprise you. A few might be sitting in your refrigerator right now. And the food at the #1 spot is something many people have eaten their entire lives without ever realizing it wasn't quite what they thought it was. 30. Vitamin water. Every morning, millions of people open the refrigerator, grab a bottle of vitamin water, and feel like they're making a healthier choice. After all, it has the word vitamin right on the label. Sounds better than soda, right? But a single bottle of vitamin water can contain around 32 grams of sugar, nearly as much as a regular soft drink. This isn't exactly health-enhanced water. It's sugar water wearing a suit. People aren't being fooled by the sweetness. They're being fooled by the name. Add the word vitamin, and a sugary drink suddenly looks like the healthier option. For older adults trying to manage their weight, blood sugar, or daily energy levels, that's not a small detail. If the goal is to drink something that's genuinely better for your body, plain water is still cleaner, cheaper, and more honest. Have you ever bought it simply because you assumed the word vitamin meant it was healthier? 29. Fruit juice cocktails. Picture a bottle of juice sitting in the refrigerator. The front label is covered with oranges, grapes, cranberries, apples, and berries that look so fresh you can almost smell the fruit. But the front is advertising. The back is where the truth lives. Many fruit juice cocktails contain only about 10% to 27% real fruit juice. If a drink contains just 10% juice, the other 90% is often water, sweeteners, corn syrup, citric acid, and flavorings. The phrase, "made with real fruit juice," sounds reassuring. But it doesn't mean the product is mostly fruit. It simply means there's some real juice somewhere in the recipe. A lot of people buy these drinks because they see large pieces of fruit on the label and assume they're choosing something better than soda. But when a drink contains more sugar than fruit, it's no longer really fruit juice. It's sugar water that knows how to take a good picture. Next time, take a look at the percentage of real juice listed on the back of the bottle. 28. Non-dairy creamer. Some people have been adding non-dairy creamer to their coffee every morning for 10, 20, or even 30 years without ever reading the back of the container. It looks creamy, softens the coffee, and makes the morning a little more enjoyable. But the word creamer may be the most misleading part. In many cases, there's not a single drop of real cream in it. Most non-dairy creamers are made from vegetable oils, corn syrup solids, emulsifiers, and phosphates. It's an industrial product designed to imitate the texture and feel of cream, not actual cream. For older adults, that morning cup of coffee is more than just a drink. It's a daily ritual. And because it enters life one small spoonful at a time, very few people ever question it. You think you're making your coffee richer and creamier. But what you may actually be adding is oil, sugar, and additives dressed up as cream. Tomorrow morning, would you be willing to turn the container around and read the ingredient list? 27. Blueberry muffins. A blueberry muffin at a coffee shop looks like a pretty healthy choice. It's soft, smells great, and those little blue dots make a lot of people feel like they're getting at least a little fruit in their breakfast. But those blue dots aren't always real blueberries. In many mass-produced products, they may be made from a mixture of corn syrup, starch, sugar, and food coloring, designed to imitate the appearance of blueberries. The reason is simple. Real blueberries cost more, are harder to store, and don't always keep their perfect appearance after baking. Most people never read the ingredient list. They see the blue color and assume the muffin is a better choice than the alternatives. That's the power of appearance in the food industry. 26. Strawberry yogurt. Strawberry yogurt has long been seen as a healthy breakfast choice. It has yogurt, fruit, and probiotics. At least that's what many people believe. But in quite a few products, there's more sugar than actual strawberries. The appealing pink color sometimes comes from added coloring. That familiar strawberry flavor may come from artificial flavoring rather than real fruit. What's interesting is that people don't buy strawberry yogurt because it's sweet. They buy it because it feels like a better choice for their health. That feeling is often the real product being sold. The probiotics may still be there, but when sugar and additives start taking center stage, the benefits are often exaggerated beyond reality. Some cups of strawberry yogurt aren't really selling strawberries. They're selling the image of a healthy breakfast. 25. Pancake syrup. Nothing feels more familiar than a stack of hot pancakes with syrup flowing over the top. But the bottle of syrup sitting in many American kitchens may not be real maple syrup at all. Pure maple syrup is made from maple tree sap and carries a higher price because the production process takes a great deal of time and effort. Meanwhile, most inexpensive pancake syrups are made from corn syrup, caramel coloring, and artificial maple flavoring. This is really a story about cost. When the real ingredient is expensive and most buyers can't easily tell the difference, companies almost always choose the cheaper option. As a result, many people grew up with the taste of maple without ever actually tasting real maple syrup. You think you're pouring the flavor of maple trees onto your breakfast, but sometimes it's just corn syrup wrapped in a more appealing story. 24. Margarine. Few people realize that margarine didn't begin as a household staple. It was created in the 19th century after Emperor Napoleon III launched a competition to find a cheaper alternative to butter for feeding the military and the working class. For decades, margarine was marketed as the more modern, smarter, and even healthier choice. But time has changed that story. Many older margarines contained trans fats, a type of fat that was later linked to serious heart health concerns. What surprises many people is that a lot of margarine products today are still made primarily from vegetable oils, water, emulsifiers, and yellow coloring designed to make them look like butter. Without that color, many of them wouldn't resemble something you'd want to spread on your morning toast. Margarine is a reminder that not everything once promoted as better actually turns out to be better. Sometimes it's simply imitation butter sold in the language of science. 23. Sandwich bread. Think back to the bread your grandparents used to make. The recipe was often just 4 ingredients: flour, water, yeast, and salt. Simple enough to memorize without ever looking at a label. Now pick up a loaf of mass-produced sandwich bread at the grocery store. Many varieties contain more than 20 ingredients: sugar, preservatives, emulsifiers, dough conditioners, and sometimes even caramel coloring to make the bread appear darker and more nutritious. The issue isn't that a long ingredient list automatically makes something dangerous. The question is, what happened that turned a food once so simple into a highly engineered product? The answer is shelf life, transportation, and profit. The bread has to stay soft for days, resist mold, avoid collapsing on the shelf, and look identical in every store. It's a victory for convenience. But it's also the moment bread stopped being just bread. It became a product designed to survive on a shelf longer than it lives at the dinner table. 22. Processed cheese slices. Those square yellow cheese slices have appeared in countless burgers, sandwiches, and school lunches across the country. They're convenient, melt perfectly, and feel so familiar that most people never think twice about them. But take a closer look at the label. Many packages don't simply say cheese. Instead, you'll find terms like pasteurized processed cheese food or cheese product. That's not an accident. Some of these products contain only about 51% real cheese. The rest may be vegetable oils, milk proteins, emulsifiers, salt, and other ingredients that help the slices hold their shape, melt evenly, and last longer. Each slice can also contain around 250 milligrams of sodium. Put 3 slices on a sandwich, and what seems like a simple meal suddenly becomes a significant source of salt. That doesn't mean you need to fear every slice of processed cheese, but it does mean that the cheese many people grew up with may not be entirely cheese. It's a product designed to look like cheese, melt like cheese, and make you forget that real cheese used to be a whole lot simpler. 21. Cool Whip. From the outside, Cool Whip looks exactly like whipped cream. It's soft, white, fluffy, and shows up on everything from pumpkin pie to birthday cakes. In many households, it's been a holiday tradition for decades. But here's the part that makes a lot of people laugh when they learn the truth. The original version of Cool Whip contained little to no actual cream. A product that looked like cream was used like cream, but wasn't really cream. Instead, the original formula relied heavily on hydrogenated vegetable oils, high fructose corn syrup, and stabilizers that helped it hold its shape for long periods of time. That's also why Cool Whip can sit in the freezer, be thawed out, and still look nearly perfect. Real whipped cream usually can't do that. You see cream. You taste something that feels like cream. But when you read the ingredient list, you realize you're eating a product designed to imitate cream at a lower cost. Sometimes the imitation doesn't try to look different. It succeeds because it looks almost exactly like the real thing. 20. Pre-shredded cheese. Shredding cheese by hand isn't the most exciting job in the kitchen. That's one reason bags of pre-shredded cheese sell so well. They're convenient, quick, and ready to sprinkle onto pizza, pasta, or casseroles in seconds. But that convenience comes with a small cost that many people never notice. To keep the cheese strands from clumping together inside the bag, manufacturers often coat them with cellulose, an anti-caking agent derived from plant fiber. From a safety standpoint, cellulose isn't a major concern. The issue is that it changes the way the cheese melts. That's why many chefs prefer buying blocks of cheese instead. When you shred it yourself at home, it usually melts more evenly, stretches better, and creates a smoother texture in the finished dish. What's interesting is that you often pay more for pre-shredded cheese, even though you're getting added anti-caking agents and slightly less pure cheese per ounce. You're paying extra for convenience, but sometimes you're getting less than you think. 19. Parmesan cheese. Parmesan is the kind of cheese many people associate with quality, but food testing over the years has surprised more than a few consumers. Some products sold as Parmesan have been found to contain far more cellulose than many people would expect. Cellulose is a plant fiber commonly used to keep shredded cheese from clumping together. It's not dangerous, but it raises an important question. Are people paying for cheese or for a blend that's been stretched with other ingredients? The issue isn't that cellulose exists. The issue is expectation. When people see the word Parmesan on the package, most assume that what they're getting is primarily premium cheese. That's what makes Parmesan such an interesting lesson in modern food. The more processed a product becomes, the more consumers have to trust the label. And sometimes, what frustrates people most isn't what's inside the container. It's what they were never fully told. 18. Instant mashed potatoes. Instant mashed potatoes are one of the food industry's most convenient inventions. Just add hot water, stir a few times, and minutes later, you have a bowl of warm mashed potatoes. For many busy families, it's the perfect solution. But convenience always comes with a price. To turn fresh potatoes into dry flakes that can sit on a store shelf for months, they have to go through extensive processing. Along the way, some of the natural flavor and nutritional value is lost. Manufacturers then often add salt, flavorings, and other ingredients to bring some of that taste back. That's why many instant mashed potato products contain far more sodium than people realize. You're buying speed, but you're also buying a product that has traveled a long way from the original potato. This isn't completely fake food, but it is a classic example of real food being transformed into a more convenient version and then sold as though nothing has changed. 17. Vanilla products. Vanilla is one of the most familiar flavors in the world. It shows up in ice cream, cookies, cakes, cereals, and hundreds of other products. But what's interesting is that most of what we call vanilla has never come from a real vanilla bean. Natural vanilla is one of the most expensive spices in the world. In many regions, vanilla orchids must be pollinated by hand, then spend months growing before going through a lengthy curing process to develop their signature flavor. That's why the food industry found a cheaper solution. Today, most vanilla flavoring comes from synthetic vanillin. It's estimated that about 99% of the vanilla flavor used in food does not come from real vanilla beans. This isn't a conspiracy, it's math. If the entire world relied only on natural vanilla, the supply would never be enough. What surprises many people is that the flavor they've loved their entire lives is actually an industrial version of a much rarer and far more expensive ingredient. 16. Chocolate coatings. Take a look at a snack bar covered with a glossy brown coating. Most people would call it chocolate. But under legal standards, not everything that looks like chocolate can actually be called chocolate. Real chocolate must contain a certain amount of ingredients derived from cacao beans, especially cocoa butter. When manufacturers replace cocoa butter with palm oil or other cheaper vegetable oils, the product is often classified as a chocolatey coating or chocolate-flavored coating rather than real chocolate. The difference comes down to cost. Cocoa butter is expensive, vegetable oils are much cheaper, and when millions of candy bars are produced every year, that gap becomes a very large amount of money. From the outside, the two products can look almost identical, but inside, they're telling two completely different stories. One begins with cacao beans, the other begins with a cost-cutting calculation. 15. Honey. Real honey is often questioned for a very strange reason. It crystallizes. Many people see tiny crystals forming inside the jar and assume the honey has gone bad or been mixed with sugar. In reality, crystallization is a completely natural characteristic of pure honey. Beekeepers have known this for generations, but the market prefers honey that looks perfectly clear, golden, and flawless. To create that appearance, many products are heavily filtered, removing even the natural pollen. The problem is that pollen is one of the key clues used to trace where honey comes from. When that trace disappears, verifying the true origin of the honey becomes much more difficult. And when origins become harder to verify, low-cost honey can more easily be sold with the image of a premium product. The people who benefit aren't always the beekeepers. Sometimes it's the long supply chains that know how to sell a perfect appearance better than transparency. 14. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of the most familiar spices in American kitchens. A little on oatmeal, a little in coffee, a little in baked goods. It's so common that most people never think to question it. But most of the cinnamon on grocery store shelves is cassia, not Ceylon. Cassia is cheaper, more widely available, and contains higher levels of coumarin. Using it once isn't the issue. What's worth paying attention to is accumulation. A little every morning, a little every week, month after month, year after year. That's why people who use cinnamon regularly, especially older adults who take it for its perceived health benefits, should know which type they're using. Not because there's a reason to panic, but because two products sold under the same name can be more different than most people realize. Sometimes the important thing isn't eating more. It's knowing exactly what you're eating. 13. Bottled water. Bottled water may be one of the most successful business ideas of the modern era. A mountain on the label, a crystal clear stream, a story about purity. And suddenly, one of the simplest things in life becomes a product that sells for hundreds of times its actual value. What surprises many people is that some brands use treated municipal water before bottling it. That doesn't mean the quality is poor, but it does reveal the remarkable business model behind the industry. The water itself is often the cheapest thing in the bottle. The bigger costs come from the plastic bottle, transportation, advertising, and branding. That's the greatest paradox of bottled water. The most expensive part isn't the water. The most expensive part is the story printed on the outside of the bottle. 12. Deli turkey and ham. The turkey and ham slices behind the deli counter often look almost too perfect. The same thickness, the same color, the same shape. No connective tissue, no rough edges, nothing that looks quite like a natural piece of meat. And that perfection is exactly what raises questions. In many deli meat products, what you're seeing is no longer a whole cut of meat sliced apart. The meat may be chopped, mixed with brine, seasonings, and moisture-retaining ingredients, then pressed back together into a uniform block before being sliced into perfectly even pieces. That's why some cold cuts feel unusually soft, juicy, and slightly wet. It's not always the natural juiciness of the meat. Sometimes it's water being held in place by the processing formula. And that leads to an uncomfortable question. If you're paying by the pound, how much are you paying for actual meat? And how much are you paying for brine that's being held inside? Deli meat isn't necessarily completely fake, but it is a clear example of how real meat can be taken apart, restructured, and sold again in a form that looks far cleaner and more perfect than the original. 11. Bacon bits. A salad suddenly feels a lot healthier when a few crispy bacon pieces are sprinkled on top. They're small, reddish-brown, smoky, and make the whole dish feel a little more satisfying. But here's the twist. Some popular bacon bits contain no bacon at all. Instead of real bacon, they may be made primarily from soy, vegetable oils, food coloring, and artificial smoke flavoring. In other words, they don't come from a skillet full of bacon. They come from a formula designed to make soy behave like bacon. The funny part is that real bacon spoils fairly quickly at room temperature. Yet many bacon bits can sit in a kitchen cabinet for a very long time and still stay crispy, smoky, and almost unchanged. That's the biggest clue. If something is called bacon but can outlast some canned foods on a shelf, it may not be bacon in the way you're imagining. Sometimes the imitation isn't trying to become meat. It's trying to become the memory of meat. 10. Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets look like small pieces of chicken that were cut, breaded, and fried until golden brown. That's the image most of us grew up with. But in many cases, a nugget isn't cut from a chicken. It's shaped to look that way. Inside a factory, chicken meat may be separated from the bone, mixed with skin, seasonings, binders, and texture-enhancing ingredients. The mixture is then ground, pressed, shaped, breaded, and fried into the nuggets people recognize. The reason they all look nearly identical isn't because chickens naturally come that way. It's because the product was designed to be uniform. That doesn't mean every nugget is something to fear. But it does show the huge difference between a piece of chicken and a product made from chicken. A real piece of chicken has muscle fibers, uneven edges, thick spots, and thin spots. A nugget is different. It's chicken transformed into the idea of chicken. Softer, more uniform, easier to eat, and easier to sell. After learning that, you may still enjoy nuggets, but you'll probably never look at them as little pieces of chicken again. 9. Guacamole. Guacamole has become a symbol of healthy eating. It shows up on health-focused menus, whole-grain sandwiches, and alongside trays of pre-cut vegetables. People buy it because of the avocado, the healthy fats, and the feeling that they're doing something good for their bodies. But here's something most people never think about. In some mass-produced products, the most expensive ingredient in guacamole is also the first ingredient to be reduced. Avocados aren't cheap. They spoil quickly, discolor easily, and can be difficult to manage at scale. That's why some manufacturers stretch the recipe with vegetable oils, starches, or other lower-cost, texture-enhancing ingredients. That appealing green color is sometimes helped along so the product looks fresher for longer than it really is. Here's the paradox. People buy guacamole because of the avocado, but the less real avocado it contains, the more the nutritional benefits disappear. What's left is the green color, the healthy image, and the sense of reassurance. You think you're paying for avocado, but sometimes you're paying for green. 8. White tuna. You sit down at a sushi restaurant, order white tuna, and assume you know exactly what's about to arrive on your plate. Most people do. But a number of food investigations have told a different story. In some cases, DNA testing found that fish sold as white tuna was actually escolar, a different species with a similar color and texture. To the naked eye, the difference is difficult to spot. DNA, however, doesn't make that mistake. The issue isn't just the name. Some people can experience digestive discomfort after eating large amounts of escolar. That's one reason the fish has repeatedly become the center of controversy in the food industry. This is what makes the story so memorable. You order tuna. The server says it's tuna. The menu says it's tuna. But the DNA tells a different story. And that's when people realize that sometimes fake food isn't hiding in a factory. Sometimes it's sitting right there on the menu. 7. Wasabi. Almost everyone who has eaten sushi believes they've tasted wasabi. That little green mound sitting next to a sushi roll has become a familiar sight around the world. But here's the biggest twist. Most people have never actually tasted real wasabi. Real wasabi is one of the most difficult ingredients in Japanese cuisine to grow. It requires very specific conditions, grows slowly, and carries a high price tag. That's why most wasabi served outside Japan is actually a blend of horseradish, mustard, and green food coloring. What's interesting is that most diners never notice. They're looking for that sharp rush of heat that shoots up into the nose. And the substitute delivers exactly that sensation at a much lower cost. The thing making your nose burn may never have been wasabi at all. That's why wasabi has become one of the most successfully substituted foods in the world. Not because people prefer the imitation, but because most people have never had the chance to taste the original. 6. Truffle oil. Truffle oil sounds like something that belongs only in upscale restaurants. A few drops on fries, pasta, or pizza, and suddenly the dish feels more expensive. The word truffle brings to mind rare underground fungi that are hunted like treasure and priced so high that a few thin shavings can make a meal feel luxurious. But the truth is that many truffle oils don't contain a single slice of real truffle. That powerful flavor often comes from synthetic compounds created in a laboratory. They imitate part of the aroma of real truffles, but cost far less and are much easier to use in large-scale production. That's one reason many famous chefs dislike truffle oil. To them, it's too aggressive, too artificial, and blurs the line between flavoring and the real ingredient. Truffle oil isn't selling truffles. It's selling the feeling that your meal just entered a 5-star restaurant. 5. Olive oil. A beautiful bottle of extra virgin olive oil can make an entire kitchen feel healthier. An elegant label, that golden green color, a few Italian words on the packaging, and people immediately feel like they're making a heart-smart choice. But olive oil is also one of the most notorious products in the world of food fraud. In numerous investigations, some products have been found to be blended with cheaper oils, fail to meet extra virgin standards, or simply not match what the label promised. This isn't just a minor labeling mistake. It's a highly profitable form of fraud because real olive oil is expensive, and most buyers can't tell the difference with a quick glance. The unsettling part is that a fake bottle doesn't have to look cheap. It can sit right on a premium shelf, inside a beautiful glass bottle, with packaging that looks completely convincing. One simple clue is that real olive oil often has a slightly bitter taste or a mild peppery sensation in the back of the throat. If it tastes completely flat like ordinary cooking oil, it may be worth taking a closer look. In the olive oil business, the most beautiful bottle is sometimes just the best suit for a story that isn't quite as pure as it seems. 4. Protein powders. Protein powder sells you a number before it sells you food. 25 grams, 30 grams. The bigger the number, the more convincing it feels. For older adults trying to maintain muscle, recover from illness, or simply get enough protein, those numbers can be very persuasive. But a big number doesn't always mean high-quality protein. The supplement industry has seen cases of what's known as protein spiking, where some formulas used inexpensive nitrogen-containing compounds to make protein test results appear higher than the actual nutritional value being delivered. In other words, the label could make you believe you're getting more usable protein than your body is really receiving. That doesn't mean every protein powder deserves suspicion, but it does show that the front of the container is where the dream is sold, while the back is where the truth is told. You're buying strength in a large container, but the real quality is often hidden in the smallest print. 3. Frozen burgers. Take a close look at a frozen burger in a commercial. Those dark brown grill marks running across the surface make it look like it just came off a red-hot charcoal grill. For many people, seeing them is enough to make the burger seem more appetizing. But here's something most people don't know. Some of those grill marks were never made by fire. In the food industry, grill marks can be created with coloring agents or surface processing techniques designed to make a product appear freshly grilled. They don't create the flavor of charcoal, they don't create the aroma of smoke, and they don't recreate the experience of grilling. They create expectation. That's the power of food psychology. The brain sees grill marks and instantly associates them with a better tasting meal. The industry figured that out a long time ago. So sometimes the first thing you're enjoying isn't the burger. It's the image of the burger. 2. Imitation crab. If you've ever eaten a California roll, seafood salad, or a seafood sandwich, there's a good chance you've eaten imitation crab. And here's the biggest shock. It's barely crab at all. Imitation crab is primarily made from surimi, a paste of finely processed white fish, usually pollock, that is colored, shaped, and flavored to resemble crab meat. Millions of pounds of surimi are consumed every year, making it one of the most common imitation foods on the market. What's interesting is that many people enjoy it without ever knowing what they're actually eating. They call it crab because it looks like crab, feels like crab, and often appears right next to real crab on menus. This is a simple lesson in perception. If a product looks similar enough, tastes similar enough, and carries a familiar enough name, most of us stop asking questions. You think you're eating crab, but in reality, you're eating fish that was designed to play the role of crab. 1. Fast food ice cream. And this may be the most surprising fact on the entire list. When you order a cone or a cup of soft serve at some fast food chains, what you're getting isn't always legally defined as ice cream under traditional standards. Some products are classified as frozen dairy desserts because their formulas don't contain the minimum milk fat required to be labeled as ice cream under regulatory definitions. Instead, they may contain added vegetable oils, stabilizers, and other ingredients that help make the product softer, less expensive, and more stable over time. That's also one reason some of them melt differently than real ice cream. What's remarkable is that most people never notice the difference. They look like ice cream. They taste like ice cream. They're sold like ice cream. And for many people, that's all they need to know. But it's possible that one of your favorite treats was never really ice cream at all. Today's 30 foods aren't meant to make you afraid of going to the grocery store. They're simply a reminder that attractive packaging and familiar names don't always tell the whole truth. You don't have to stop eating everything you enjoy. Sometimes all it takes is slowing down for a few seconds, turning the package around, and reading the label. The most deceptive food isn't usually the one you've never seen before. It's the one that's so familiar you've never thought to question it. Out of the 30 foods on today's list, which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below.